You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York.
Hello,
Hi.
everybody. Welcome back to Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio, the Paranormal and Strange. We're live on WCJV Digital Broadcasting out of Youngstown, New York. And we have a special show tonight, folks, because our own Hank Stratton and his team are with us, and we're just going to have a ball. Everybody just join in, and Hank, as of course, is the other host on the show. Everybody knows that. We have Ed and Toby with us, and is Tim here?
I don't see Tim yet.
Okay, well, maybe Tim too, but right now we have Hank, Ed, and Toby that's going to be talking with us about some paranormal experiences they've had, and some of this stuff's pretty cool. I can't wait to get into it because these pictures was they were kind of, well, especially the one with the little whatever that is on top of the plastic thing. We'll get into that. But seeing as how I'm kind of a thing about vets and everything, you know, I respect my veterans. And you guys did an investigation at the old soldier cemetery. So we're going to start with that one since it has to do with veterans.
Roger.
Yes, sir.
Allow me to introduce my team and those that are here now, and then as they come in. Okay. Ed Tiemann is my co-founder, and Toby Grenels is my case manager. He is also a fellow psychic. And we'll get more in depth as to how that works out. Tim Nichols, when he calls in, to let you know that he is also an investigator on the team.
Okay. Well,
so where do you want to start now?
The old soldier cemetery. Now, were any of those pictures from that particular place? You had sent me several pictures, and
yes, I sent you several pictures.
Okay, some were from.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you describe to me which one you're looking at, and then I will be able to follow along with you.
Okay, well, bear with me just a second here. Let me get to my little folder. Now, I have to explain this to people because when my pictures, when I download them and all that stuff, they show up as the big sunflower-looking thing. So I don't know what they are until I open them up. I don't know why it does that, but it does that.
Well, while you're doing that,
I'm looking at a picture of. Okay. This is a cemetery, and this is one of them that you didn't have names, so I don't know which one it is.
You'll have to describe it to me because if you're saying
you've got like right here in the front, you've got like two flat stones that have something sitting on top of them.
Two flat stones.
Bluish looking. Whatever that is.
That one that we discussed earlier?
Okay, and there's like a pole further to the back. You see a pole standing up there. to the right, there's like one headstone and then a little bush directly behind it. To my left, there's like 4 or 5 of the little skinny, tall, like stones.
All right. I believe I know what you're talking about now. That is one of my first encounters at the Roy Cemetery. I was with a friend of my wife's who was wanting to get into paranormal investigations. And we were there, and if you see that heavy-set guy off to the left, that's me. What you see in that picture, I had a video camera, and we were just taking pictures. I was videotaping, and I've gone through my videos many times, and I didn't catch the well, I don't know if she was a young woman or exactly what she was, but she was standing there, and Melissa, Diane's friend, caught that, and that was the start of our Grail quests, if you will.
Okay, well now I'm looking, and this is the other picture of the same place, and it has like a circled object, and there's some arrows pointing.
That was Roy Cemetery from our last investigation.
Okay,
we were on an
in the circle. I make out looks like eyes.
I've been working on that. Ed's been working on it. And what we're seeing, okay, yeah, it's the same cemetery, but more recent, just a few days ago, well, a few weeks ago, last month, June 7th. What we've done is Toby had pointed out when I sent him the picture, Toby had pointed out a figure off in the background. That circle I found looks to us like I would say a World War II soldier with the helmet. No, that's two. That's two. Like like a tanker.
Oh, okay.
Someone in a tank from a tank corps.
Yeah.
Or an infantryman.
Okay, well I'm seeing like a face with like a brimmed hat or something.
That's what I'm saying. To us, it looked like a helmet. If anything, it was like the saucer caps that the Air Corps would wear. And you can't help but pick up, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but that cocky attitude, like, this is what I do,
Right.
Kind of
I mean, it just kind of sticks out there. It looks like a face with a brimmed hat, like what they used to call the baseball cap in the Army.
In this particular case, tomato. Where the flagpole is the veterans area of the Roy Cemetery.
Okay, well then that would make sense then. I'm trying to see what the arrows around it there.
Okay.
And it almost looks like a mist or how would you describe it? Except for like a kind of like a little mist coming up.
Roger.
Yes.
That was the only apparition that we caught. Everything else that was drawn attention to helped us focus on that partial apparition. Everything else looks to be a mist or something trying to come.
Yeah, in 2 or 3 spots there.
Exactly. And this is the veterans area.
Well, they were pretty busy that night, looks like to me.
The EVPs that we got from that time, we had one that I will treasure, and you can hear some woman clearly say, "Thank y'all for visiting."
Oh, no, that would be cool. I'd love to get something like that.
Toby wasn't able to join us on this, but Ed was there with us too.
Yeah, I was there. It was a pretty nice, evening there. Tim and I just went in, and what we primarily did in the beginning was to talk to the World War II veterans, and so we actually talked to four of them. We would just, what I'd do is I would use my rods, and so I asked the question. I said, "How many here would like to talk to us?" And then so I started counting over 1, over 2, and I got 4. Then I went, the rods started really crossing good. Then I went to 5, and the rods stopped moving. So I went back to 4. And so there was 4 that we went and visited that evening. And by asking questions, depending on how my rods reacted to their answer, it was very pleasant being able to talk to them and ask the question and get an affirmed answer by the crossing of my rods. And I use them. I'm never without them. They're in my truck. They're there, and I even got a set in my house, and so that's what I use for my communications. But of course, I do take a tape recorder with me all the time, so. But that's kind of basically how I operate in the group. But where we're fortunate, like Hank and I, we can go out and he can ask the questions, and my rods will react to his questions, and the same with Tim or with anybody else. So I just tell them to ask the questions, and the rods give you the answers.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, I want to ask both of y'all, do you see, let me go back to this other picture here because I can lay it out a little bit closer. Where your circle is, there's 2 arrows on the left-hand side and 1 on the right. Okay. Now, behind those arrows are like the 4 or 5 little skinny tall stones that I was talking about. Right back behind that, it almost looks like a figure standing there. You can actually, when I pull it up with my thing, you can actually see legs.
Are you talking off by the one head?
And it's in both pictures, so...
Are you talking the one that's off to the left-hand side of the tombstone?
You know where your circle is?
Yes.
Okay, the arrow that's kind of at the top of it, like to the left of it, at the top a little bit.
That's the one you pointed out, Toby.
Look right to your left of that.
I tried to figure that one out too. I see exactly what you're talking about.
I pulled it up on both pictures, and it looks like you can see legs and everything there.
Correct. I'm sitting here reworking the pic, and now that you're talking about it, I actually see it now.
Yeah. I was looking at that when I was trying to look at something that was over next to it, and I got to look at it, I said, there's legs right there. There's legs right there. There's something right there.
How we do things, Roger, is when we take a photo, we take 3 photos of that same location when we take photos.
Right.
And then when we go through and we're talking amongst ourselves and we are analyzing the photos, what we will do is we will make a copy of that photo, and we will make whatever markings that we make so that we have a clean copy or the original, and the copy will have where we're pointing at things.
Right. Well, this wasn't something that was being pointed at. It's just something that I saw behind where the arrow was pointing.
Yeah, that when you made mention of having the one picture,
Right.
and then one with the markings on it. That's what I'm trying to explain.
Okay, now, was that what you were pointing at then?
That's what Toby was telling me that he first saw.
Because
And
I
then-
see like a figure standing with leg. You can see the legs. And kind of like where the shoulders and the arms would be.
Okay, okay, yeah, no, Hank, he's right. He just pointed out one that we did not catch.
What?
Yeah, he just pointed one out that, yeah.
Hey, I want to make a comment on our pictures and stuff. Okay, now a lot of it depends on who is looking at it on their computer, because my computer screen's a little bit different than Hank's, and mine and Hank's is a little different than Toby's. And, cause he's got one of those super big screen monitors.
Okay, well, mine's not
And so
big, but
so he can see things on his monitor that we can't see on ours, and it depends on the lightness and the darkness of how you have the picture that how it comes up on your screen. So that's why sometimes Toby can find something, or I can find something, or Hank can find something that we didn't even see, or whatever, each of us didn't see.
okay, I mean, I can put you right dead on where it's at. You've got like two stones. It's like three stones in kind of a triangle. And then right behind those is where you'll see that at.
Right there.
Yeah, okay, I see the head and I see the shoulders. I'm sitting here looking at the
You
work
see what I'm
product right
talking
now.
about then, right?
Right.
Yeah, I see it too. I just took that as another headstone.
No, you
Another,
can see the
another
legs and the
head-
shoulders and the head and everything there.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord. Well, good catch, Roger.
Well, thank you, sir.
You
I
can
just got to
join
look-
our group, Roger.
I got to look and I said, what's them? That's legs, man. And then the more I looked at it, I'm like, there's shoulders, there's arms, there's... That's pretty cool, though. And, I mean, you did catch it. You might not have noticed it, but you did catch it, so...
So I noticed the one coming out of the ground.
True.
I mean, that's the first one I caught, and then as Hank was looking at it after I caught the one that was coming out of the ground, he started spotting more.
Okay, now your arrow on your right is pointing, and I can almost make out a face right there. But it doesn't look like it would be a veteran.
That's how I am.
Okay, and it's a little iffy. I can't say for sure, but it almost kind of has the
That's how it feels and looks to me.
the eyes are there. It's kind of like a little pointy nose or whatever, and you can almost even see a mouth there. But if anything, it would give me the idea of a young person, like a child maybe coming up from the ground. Right in front of that flagpole.
That's a different one. Yes.
Okay. I was just making sure I wasn't seeing things there.
No. That's a different one.
Okay. But now the dude that's standing back there, man, you can make him out. If you're looking at it, you can see the legs, shoulders, head. He's standing there, whoever he is.
Which is that
It's just going while I'm setting this up for do that.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
amazing.
I looked
Yes.
at both pictures before I said anything the first time because I wanted to make sure I wasn't just seeing stuff there. But it's in both of the pictures. And the markers just give you a little bit better way of seeing it because it's right where that second arrow is up above the circle there. Right to the left of it.
Well, as I said earlier, it's just depends on your screen and how it's adjusted to be able to pick up things that we can't even pick up at times. But we just kind of look more or less like towards the obvious, and Toby, he's got the setup there that he can even see more than we can see, which is fortunate that he's part of our group.
Now, I used to view my stuff on a 32-inch flat screen TV.
I just use a 17-inch monitor. That's it.
But
Also,
anyway,
the resolution that you would have that would also help bring out.
right, if you got the HD and all that, the better quality, Anyway, now you said that was Roy Cemetery. Now here's another one from Roy Cemetery. This is in the daytime. And I see you, Hank, with your gadget in your hand there. Oh, Lord.
That's the one I told you about earlier.
Yeah. Man, I'm looking, I'm like, well, what's he want me to see here? And then all of a sudden it's like, bam. Yeah.
That's
okay.
the one I was talking about with Melissa.
Yeah. That's wild. Okay, I don't know what, I'm seeing a woman here.
That's as best as we can describe her. She's a woman.
Exactly. And, wow. I was looking,
Now,
so what am I supposed to be seeing?
We have gone back to that area time after time after time. There is no standing headstone there. It's just a flat marker. There at that time, there were no weeds that could be mistaken for this woman.
That's creepy, dude.
That's what I was telling you that I considered my.
Yeah, your grail pick. Okay, so I know what I was looking for right there. Now, this is one, and it was. What is this? And now I'm looking at this pic that says ghost apparition or whatever. It looks like something moving left to right going uphill that's kind of colored. And then it's all black behind it here. It looks like an orb in the background there.
Okay. Toby, could you kindly explain our English lady at the Ording?
Oh, our opera singer?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No. Ording.
Oh, Ording, upper.
No, the opera singer is at the soldiers.
Oh, the English woman up above. The one that's got a crush on... Yes, the one that's got a crush on Hank.
Crush on me.
Yeah.
Lucky you, Hank.
I was waiting for that, Roger.
Let me tell you exactly how this all came about. When it was just Ed and I was out. Ed was out just kind of testing me out, checking out my abilities and everything. And next, here comes this nice English woman coming out. She steps forward. She goes, "Where is the short guy that looks like with the white beard. I was like,
I
huh?
thought you was fixing to say, look like Santa Claus.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. I said, well, he's not here. She goes, I need to speak to him. I love him.
Wow.
I was like,
Hey,
oh my
tell him,
gosh.
boy.
So this, I mean, it just went on and on. She is just so fascinated with Hank. And I was like, well, next time we come down, I'll make sure that Hank talks to you.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at here then, right? And I see like almost the outline of a long ruffled dress.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's pretty dark, but the higher up you get and everything, you kind of, you can see sort of a head area. But I can't make it out real good. But I can see this ruffled dress thing here, from the ground up.
Yeah,
and it almost looks like, how women's skirts back in them days, they would have the undergarment that, kind of flowed with it.
Mm-hmm. She is, it doesn't matter who or when you go down there. That's her favorite dress.
Okay, well, it's got like the slip. That's what I was trying to think of. That kind of fills out with the dress, and so you see the white underneath the edge of it.
Yes.
And then there's an orb above her head over here to your left. Which I normally, myself, I'm not a firm orb believer, but when you have a picture, you have a apparition in the picture, and then you have that right there, then it kind of leads me to think that's more closer to the real deal than you're going to get, because the energy would be there, it just makes sense.
Well, that cemetery is full of both mischief and enlightenment.
So I can see that very plainly, that ruffled dress just sticks out there. And it's pretty cool because I love the type of clothing women wore back in them days, especially if you ever, I don't guess Hank's showed y'all that picture of the lady in red that we captured at the cemetery out here. But,
I didn't get a copy of that, Roger.
She has a red ruffled, like, evening gown on. And it's free floating in the air, and you can see her arm come down. And it looks like she's hiking up her skirt a little bit on the one side,
like she's trying to cross over the fence.
Yeah, and then her head's kind of tilted down, and she's got dark hair. And when we looked out there was nothing there. We took the picture. Our buddy of mine took the picture, and it was there.
Showing the little leg, huh?
That was kind of creepy, but I mean, at the same time, it was awesome, because you don't get stuff like that all the time.
No, and that's why it's such a privilege when we do.
Exactly. You want everybody to see it. This is what we got. Now I'm going to go to the Indian horse picture here. And when you and I talked about this earlier, Hank, I wasn't even thinking about it like that. I was just looking at the mist itself. And I said it kind of looked like, if somebody were smoking and they just blew out a big puff of smoke, and it's just all curling up,
We have learned that a lot of, how shall we say this, older, more memorable cemeteries have some sort of guardian. We have determined this is the guardian of the soldier cemetery.
Yeah, I have to agree with him on that. When I first saw that picture, I really didn't know what to make of it, And around that picture, you blow it up, you can see there's several orbs around the Guardian there. And we've received lots of really crazy, fun EVPs from the Soldier Cemetery because, we're from the military and so we can, we relate, the spirits there and us, And then at Christmas time, we always go there and leave a wreath and play some music and then go about and do AVPs and talk to them,
Well, now
That
this
was an
thing
outstanding shot.
This thing is more. It's kind of creepy. I mean, it for lack of better words, it looks like some bone shapes. And is it supposed to be like reared up with the front feet out?
Yes.
Okay. Now it makes sense, Sam.
And if you look at the horse's head up towards what his nose is, you can actually see his teeth, and then the same for the rider, if I remember correctly.
Well, now I'm not seeing. Well, whoa, what the hell is that? Pardon my French. Yes. Yes, I will.
Wow.
We are live on WCJV, digital broadcasting out of Youngstown, New York. I believe we're going to take a little short pause here, and we shall return. Oh, okay. You're not going to. Okay. All right, folks, then no pause. We're just going to keep rolling.
Goldie, rolling, roll.
But yeah, that, looking at it
Sorry, I can
more like that is, you can see the front feet sticking up in the air there, and the mane flowing back, and the nose, and now I'm having a little bit of a problem.
Best as we can describe that Guardian showed up. We had a night of issues. We'll call it that. We had a night of issues, and that was the result of making sure everything was in check.
That is an awesome picture. You can see those are tombstones that you're looking at through this, isn't it?
I'd hate to meet him on a dark night.
Jeez.
That is awesome. That's a good pick.
To describe the Soldier Cemetery, that is that angle that you're seeing. It goes up a hill. This is an area where the Civil War veterans, the Spanish-American War veterans, any American Revolution veterans?
Yeah, I believe so. I have no. There might be, but I doubt it.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, and you see something white down here at the bottom. But right in front of that, it's like the mist off of this thing is coming across the ground, and you see a spot right here on the ground that almost has a tendency to look like a blood spot.
Are you looking at the color enhanced, or are you looking at the actual original copy?
I'm looking at the only one that I got of this particular picture.
Oh, but give me a few seconds. I'm working on getting things to Dita, and then Mitzi asked about what pictures we were talking about, so I'm trying to reload my Facebook rip of Graham.
Okay, well it looks like,
and I'm running into complications.
I remember. I know the spot that you're talking about, And I've looked at it and looked at it, and there's something there, but it's pretty hard to figure out, what it is.
Well, in this picture, it almost kind of looks like a blood stain.
Huh.
Hold on, Ed.
I mean, it's dark, like it's dried blood or something, or
Let me sign out of my Facebook. Plum plungers. All right. Let me sign out of my Facebook. I've resent that link to my Facebook. I'm trying to get pictures to Dita. Oh, okay. That picture I sent to Dita, that is the original. Okay. Now you're saying blood spot? Huh.
I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that's kind of what it reminds me of.
Okay.
And it's off to your right of the.
Okay, stop. Okay, brief history or brief idea of what we're looking at. Off in the distance, that's a tail light. So there's a road that goes right by, which really messes things up when we're trying to do EVPs.
Okay, well, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You said far right.
I said to your right. Okay. In the bottom of this picture, there's something white right here.
That's Roger. That's the reflection off of one of the tombstones from the flash.
Okay. Now, in behind that, like going toward that tail light thing that you're talking about, in behind this white reflection
I would
thing,
call that
spot on the
pixelation.
ground right there.
I would call that pixelation.
Okay, if it is, I mean, it could be, but it just kind of looks like a dried blood spot on the ground. Okay, that's cleared up. Good deal. That works for me. Okay, now I have 3 pictures of the Orting Cemetery. We're going to go to the first one that I have labeled here.
No, Roger. Orting. It's just one smooth word. Orting.
Okay, Orting, however you say it. Okay. Now, remember me talking to you about a blue orb-looking thing in the trees up there? Or the weeds or whatever it is off to the side? Bluish green, whatever color you want to call that.
Let me. Ed,
I don't know which that would be.
I sent you the pictures too.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is the one we were talking about, the statue of the lady or angel, or whatever I was trying to say. It looked like an angel, but...
Okay, the statue, it's less than a foot high. And that's what led us to the lady.
Now, there's a streak coming off of her head.
We've never been able to determine what that was.
And then up above her, where it's weeds or trees or whatever, behind that, there's like the same color like orb up in there. Do you see that?
Yeah, just above her head there's an orb. It's kind of discolored in the trees.
Yeah.
The trees.
Well, this one, you can see it plain.
Yeah, it's there.
It's like, if, say, from a distance, if you're standing right in front of these weeds or trees or whatever it is here, I would estimate it to be probably 10 foot up in there, maybe 10 foot up in the trees.
Hey, Roger, that's the same area that Ed has discovered there's first people there, off in about 10 feet back in the woods.
Okay. You can see that thing.
I'm talking about first people. Over to her right, I located 4 Indian graves, which is just right off the far side of the cemetery property.
Okay.
And those 4 Indians that are there, were actually killed on the cemetery property by 3 other Indians.
Wow. Okay.
And there is, let's see, 2, 4, 5, there's 7 Indians buried actually on the cemetery property. There is 3 husbands and wives buried there and 1 child. And the child died when he was about maybe 3 or 4. And his mother is buried, or he was buried right next to his mother, and she died in childbirth. And the child was confirmed probably about maybe 4 years ago from the guy that I know who is retired now, who is the caretaker of the cemetery and actually helped, dig the holes, for the caskets to go in. And when he was digging this one hole, he run across this child wrapped in something, a couple of feet down or something like that. And so what he did was he moved the child, and then after they dropped the coffin in the hole, then he actually placed the child. The child was just right at the edge of the hole on the outside. And so then when they were filled back in, that he actually put the child back in the same place that he found it. That's kind of the and also there has been I've seen him. He's was there about 40 years, and he has several arrowheads, and he has one spearhead that he had dated back about 5,000 years ago. And I borrowed them one time from him, the whole thing, and took them over and showed them to a friend of mine. And I opened them up. I had them in a paper towel, and I wouldn't lay them on the table. He says, "I'm not touching those." I says, "Well, why?" He says, "On that one right there, there's blood on it." Okay, then I borrowed them again and took it over to a very dear Indian friend of mine who runs a smoke shop there in Puyallup. And I had him laying there on this bench, and his son come into the office, and he walks over and he looks at him. He pointed at that same one. He says, "I'm not touching that because there's blood on it." And so that's there was 3 spearheads and probably about a dozen arrowheads on it. And the arrowheads were dated in 3 different time periods. And the earliest was probably maybe about 800 years ago. And then the next ones was roughly around maybe 500 years ago. And then the next ones or so was probably around about 250, 300 years ago. Now, on my property, I have, with my rods, I have located 7 burial sites. And then in the area around where I live at, I have located and marked on my little old map about 40 or 44 burial sites. And then I have one Indian that I got a picture of, and his wife, and I called him Spirit Weaver, and his wife Fawn. And they have adopted my 3 cats and my dog, or they adopted them. And so I can go out in my yard and I can say, "Hey, Bear, are you here?" "Yeah, the rod's across," and you'll come up and sit right by me. I can't see them, but I just know that they're there. And how this started with the dog first is one evening I had the door open. I was bringing some water bottles in, and I heard this jingling by my left leg, like a dog collar, the license and stuff, And so I figured it had to be one of two dogs, either our first dog called Missy, or it had to be Bear Bear. And then so I got my rods and asked the questions. Is Missy? No movement. And then I asked, is this Bear Bear? Well, I mean, the rods crossed immediately. I mean, like they're going to turn backwards and slap me in my arms, And so I can grab my rods anytime and go out in the yard and talk to my pets and talk to Spirit Weaver and his wife, or go up the hill and talk to the other Indians that's up there too, So, and Spirit Weaver and his wife is actually buried on the property right next to mine. And what I was doing one day, I was taking some pictures of my onions, and I was going back through and look at my pictures, and then I wound up with this one. And one's taller than the other one, and that's when I figured out that after a while, then I asked him permission. I says, is it all right? I said, I don't know your name. I says, but is it all right if I call you Spirit Weaver and your wife Fawn? Now, boy, you talk about two people really being happy about that. I mean, the rods were just going crazy. And see, now my rods, I've tried to connect with a few people that I've run across the internet who uses rods, and trying to set up a communications with them, and they just for some odd reason don't want to communicate, but I can tell by how my rods react. I can tell when they're laughing, and if I ask a question, if the question is not really the right question, but it's close, my rods will start to cross. And then when I get to the right question, then the rods cross, and then I can proceed from there. Now, my method is I ask one question and I wait for an answer. Then I go to the next one and next one. And let's say, for example, say like your great grandparents are buried in a particular cemetery, and I just happen to be with you, and say there's no marker, or there's markers there, but there's no map to show where everybody's buried at. All you do is say, hey, you will be the one that will be. I can do it, but you can do it also. And all you have to do is ask the question, Grandpa, in his full name, where are you at? And then we'll just start following the rods. When we get to where he's buried at, the rods will cross. And if there's a headstone right there with a name on it, you'll be able to physically see his headstone. And then you can talk to your grandfather. And probably his wife will be buried there, so you can talk to your grandparents. So anyway, that's how my rods work. I just ask the questions and listen to what the rods have to say, by how they cross. And that's how I know I'm in the right area, so. But I started using rods back in '70 to find, water wells, for drilling for wells. And, then one day just about the time I met Hank, I just go down to the Ording Soldier Cemetery and I just go up there and ask a question, and somebody wants to talk to me. I follow my rods. So that day I talked to 4 people, the best I knew how at that moment, and then from there it just basically escalated. And then I met Frank. Hank and, blah, blah, blah.
Seriously?
That's all, folks.
And, Hank can ask the questions and we can follow the rods, and Toby the same thing too, just follow the rods. So I don't really have to ask the questions. I just have to be there with them and say, hey, you ask the questions, you know what you want. And so, off we go, doing our exploring and if you can't, well, Toby, he can hear anything, but sometimes, they ask the questions and we'll get the answers, to the rods. And I treat my rods with respect. And I'm the only one that uses them. And I'm surprised that, I didn't get, responses back from some of these other people, that use the rods. But anyway, maybe we could learn something from each other,
Roger, I sent you a link that Roger has, God bless it. Roger, I sent you a link to Ed's. There we go. Now I can't get it out right now.
It's called the secret page, and it has on the it's a website to my page, and right on the opening page, it has descriptions, about my rods and how I made them and what size they are, and kind of a little bit of history, and there is. If you go on the internet, you can find several sites that you make the rods and sell them, and some are have different things on the end of them, or they'll have a copper pipe or something that the handle sticks into, so it floats freely, And all I use is 12-2 copper wire, and that's all I use. I haven't bent in an L, and right. That's all I use. I don't have to have. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Where did you send this link to?
I send it to you, Roger.
Where at though? Email, Facebook, where?
Email.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And you can try it. It's the best when I'm teaching somebody that's in our group that wants to use the rods to learn how to use them. That's just the best way. You don't have to be special. You don't have to have, any psychic insight or any of that sort of stuff, You just hold the rods, at elbow level, and let them float in your hands free, and you just ask the questions. Like you say, if you want to know, say, for example, you want to know where your grandfather's, located at, say, well, Grandpa so-and-so, this is so-and-so, and will you, would it be all right if I, if I can come and talk to you and show me where you're located at? Not buried, located. And the rod's across, hopefully, they'll say yes, and they just relax it, and then, across the rods and say, okay, show me where you're at, and just start following your rods. And, but that's, I'd like to see you try it. Just, make some and see what you can, what you can do with them. And
I will have to do that. I've never used any before.
There's nothing special about them. They're excellent for, for locating somebody, or, and getting answers that you can't hear, or maybe your recorder can't pick up, and so you got your recorder going, and so, you're listening to your rods and stuff.
That's something that we've experienced. Ed would get answers with his rods that I don't get EVPs to. And there are times I get confirmations, EVP confirmation from the questions he's asked that had a response from his rods. That's just, I wish it would work that way all the time.
You know, what's really nice, with the rods, let's say you want to find out how old somebody is. You can ask the questions. You say, well, is it all right if I ask you your age? Okay. And the answers, they'll probably say yes. And then you relax the rods so they're parallel with each other. And then so you ask the question, are you over 20 years old? And the rods will start to move together. And you can go to, let's say you get up to 50 years old, and they're starting to cross pretty good. And so then you go to 60, and they don't move. And then so you go back to 50 years old, then you start counting. 51, 52, 53. And let's say at 54, and then you go to 55 and the rods stop moving, that means that person is 54 years old. Now, if you want to find out what year they were born, then let's say, was you born in the 1900s? Was you born in the 1800s? Was you born before 1850? Then you start jumping, and then let's say, or you say, was you born before the 1850s? The rods don't move, then you know he's born after 1850. And then you go to 1850, 1860, 1870, and etc. And you get right down to almost pretty accurate of the year that they were born. Then you can do the same thing for their death. What year did you die in? Now, something else that you can do is that you ask them, says, can I find out what month you were born in? And then so you go January, February, March. Then let's say they're born in March. And then you ask them, well, can I ask you the date you were born? And then so you start counting. March 1st, March 2nd, March 3rd, right on down until you get to that magic number. Let's say it's March 15th. And you can do the same thing too for when they passed away. And then the next thing you can do, you can go one step even further, is that, let's say, for example, their spouse isn't buried with them. Then you can go from there. Well, is she born on the other side of the Mississippi or her break? Okay, yeah.
Okay, folks, we're live on WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back in a minute or so.
You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York.
Welcome back, everybody.
Team.
We are going to look at a picture here. I was just talking to Hank about this. It's not in the one, but it's in this one. This is the same statue we talked about earlier about the foot-tall statue or whatever that has a pointed like thing coming off the head to the left. Now, in this picture, and it wasn't in the other one, there's like, and Hank said it, a red, white, and blue streak like just comes off of this thing. And in the other picture I looked at, there was a bluish looking orb up in the trees there. Well, in this one, the orb is white, and you see this red, white, and blue streak coming off there. What do you have any idea what that's about?
We have looked at that and looked at that and looked at that. And the only thing I can figure, now a lot of people have this thing about, about orbs. They're not real. They're dust. If someone really takes time to study what an orb is, you follow me?
Right.
They will see something that actually starts taking shape. What my only conclusion that I have is that is her orb and her shape, the subtleness of her shape is the extension. Every ghost / spirit is conserving energy, so they travel in an orb. It may be varying in sizes. It may vary in color, but it has its own opaque luminescence. And before a spirit manifests, it's there in its orb form. Now, how much energy it takes to draw out its manifested form. So you're still talking about that. That's where she came from.
Okay, now.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes some sense. But what I'm wondering about is the difference. Does the difference in the color of it, like before, it was like I said, it was kind of like a bluish green. It's still in the same place, but in this picture, it's gone from bluish green to white. Now, would the bluish green be as it's trying to manifest itself, or would that be the color it would normally be before it turns white and then it manifests itself?
Now again, there are different color charts that I work with, that I recommend to people. Okay? When you're dealing with different colors of the spectrum, when we're dealing with orbs, each one has a meaning. Like pink would be openness, green would be healing, light blue would be tranquility. I think getting to know my my dear English lady, oh brother, I would say she either was in the field of healing or she was a very caring person. So this would be a color that would be like recognizing her, like you recognize. Like, you're recognized as Roger. I'm recognized as Hank and Ed, Toby, and so on and so forth. Names don't make a difference, not really that much on the other side. Not really. That's something how we identify each other. Now, there are those that will disagree with me, and there are those that okay, you've got a partial good idea there. All right. So that's the, Toby, can you help me out on that?
As far as the orbs,
He's talking about, okay, our my dear sweet English lady.
mm-hmm.
He's talking about the color change of the light, or
Okay.
of the orb above her head.
As far as my interpretation, as far as what I've learned, is the different colors of the orbs. I mean, you do have orange, you do have red. Dust is normally a pastel gray. Okay? Different colors represent different meanings, different powers. Blue generally is perceived as healing, whereas a reddish orange takes on two different meanings, anger or into a piece of disarray. I mean, I got a color chart that I run off of, and so far it's been pretty much accurate. Anything dealing with the blue, like that one lady with the statue, she's more of a healer on that side, and she's in the process of healing. Now, when you get a manifestation such as gray, what they're trying to do is they're trying to collect the energy to either one, expose the color as they are manifesting, which I have seen in different cases on personal accounts. I've seen them appear in bright red. Then you get the obvious color of black, which is just what it is. It's black. I see Mitch has said gray tend to be a weak energy. Well, yeah.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no. It depends upon the statue and the level that they're on the spirit side of the world. Because, I mean, you do have different levels. The normal ones I see are either grayish, turning to a bright white, or either they're going to an orange. I do have one that's a red, which is a very unique chance to capture. We do have, who was it? Was it Jim? Hank, that caught the blue one out in the yard?
I think it was Jim.
Yeah, we got a blue one out here at my house that will appear, maybe once every 2 months. I haven't figured him out yet as far as what's his status, as far as being on the different levels of the spirit world. Now, I do have a nice, bright, and I showed it to Hank, and I wish he could actually pull up some of those pictures and send them to you, Roger. We got a green one that hovers above my pine tree. And that's the only place it tends to hang out is right above my pine tree. It doesn't come any closer. You can see it as it comes in. I've caught it in movement, and I love it. And I got a green vapor behind it.
Like a trail?
Just like a trail, yeah. You know, how people say, it's just a rain spot. Well, I've never seen rain go from south to north. If anybody could discredit me on that, well, hey, I say, okay, fine. I'm open ears to anything that could discredit it. But as far as anything moving up, no, it's hard to sit there and say it's dust, because dust falls down. Rain falls down. I mean, my house is like a massive magnet. Hank and Ed would agree to this. I could get at least 24 people in my house at one given time. So you can imagine. I mean, I get a house full, and they'll appear in different colors. Orange, blue, and white seems to be the most typical colors I get here. But then, like I said before, I get the blue one and the green one. They just show up from time to time. I mean, I wish I could show a chart. I got a chart that I go off, that I go by, that I don't have handy right now. But I mean, that's the easiest way to describe it. You know, each one depends upon their level on their spirit world, is what color that they're going to take on. Like, it's a different job. Like, one's going to be blue, and blue is generally, if you go across the board, is all healing. They're on a healing stage. They're out there to heal the different spirits that are in disarray. And that's their job. Which is, to me, is great. I get a chance to talk to them from time to time, but that's a different story on a different page and a different level. But that's where I come in. I got the chance and the ability that's different from Hank's and Ed's, to where I actually get to see them manifest before my eyes, and half the time they wait till I turn my camera off.
Of course.
And it was just like last night. I'll give you a prime example. And Hank got a big chuckle out of this. I got 2 rhododendrons that sit out here on the corner of my front yard. And my border collie, which border collies, everybody knows, have the most supreme hearing for dogs. Well, she's been chasing this little girl spirit up and down my fence line. And I sit there and I watch her and I let her run back and forth. You know, she barks at it. Well, the other night, she is just pointing hard like she was out hunting. And at the same time, I got my camera off, got the lens cover on, and next thing you know, here is this entity forming up in between my 2 rhododendrons. It started out white, and then it just went to gray. So it you know, it all varies. Depends upon, you know, what they're doing, where they're getting their energy from. It will change their color perspective.
You said you had another picture, Roger?
Yeah, I got one more. And this one, let me get back to where I was here. Well, actually, this is another one from Roy Cemetery. I think this is the one we already looked at, though. Oh, wow, yeah, that's the one with the woman in it. Looking out across her, and then, whoops, there it is.
Whoop, there it is. Whoop, anyway.
Okay, this is the one that doesn't have the orb in it, but I wanted to look at the different one because in the one it's blue and in the one it's white. Or as he said, it could be considered, I guess, grayish or whatever, but okay, no, it is definitely like a blue-greenish color.
I can't explain it, Roger. I tried.
You know, it's the same one. You can tell it just changes color in the from that one pic to the other one. It goes from like this bluish green color, real kind of intense looking, to this whitish gray looking color.
Which picture is that, Roger?
It's the same one as at the Ording Cemetery.
The same one where the lady's coming through. I have no explanation. Size difference, pixelation.
Okay, in the one where the blue orb is, or bluish green colored looking orb is, on the statue from that little pointed thing where you see the color coming from in the other one, this one has almost like a blackish looking mist coming off of her head thing there. And it has the bluish green orb up there. And then when you get to the other one where the orb changes color, you have the red, white, and blue streak coming off of her pointed thing there. So I don't know if that means the energy has increased at ground level. You know what I'm saying?
All I can
Yeah.
say, Roger, is there are so many things that we still don't know about what's going on. All we can do is report what we get.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, though, the difference in the colors coming from her headpiece, I guess I don't know if it's supposed to be a headpiece or whatever it is there. It
Well,
goes
she
from the
definitely is
blue
wearing
orb
a hat
and
of some sort.
huh?
She definitely is wearing a hat of some sort.
Okay, well, from the point of her hat in the first picture, there's like a blackish uh, mist coming off of her out of that hat thing going toward the left. Then when you get to where it changes to the white orb, there's the red, white, and blue mist like thing coming off of her hat piece. So I'm thinking that maybe the orb has changed up here to a lighter because more of the energy is being focused down here at ground level.
That works.
You know, it's the only thing that makes sense.
Toby, what do you think? That works.
Well, look, yeah, I mean, it works, yeah. I mean, I would have to agree. I mean, Roger comes with a good presentation and a good opinion on it. I mean, it works with me. Because if you look at the two pictures, Roger, again, you notice your blue has shortened up a little bit and your red has gotten a little bit brighter on the one.
Okay, yeah, if you're looking at the original one that I looked at first,
Yes.
you got the blue-green orb up here over
Yes.
the head, and you got this kind of a dark blue, blackish looking mist coming off of her head there.
Correct.
Then you go to the second picture, and you've got the red, white, and blue mist coming off of her head there, but I can't see the orb in that one, so then you have to go to the last one. And you got this red, white, and bluish glow like coming off of her head and kind of shooting off to the left, and then the orb has turned to a white, dull white.
Yeah, it's more of a dull white. And if you look at the colors, they're also getting a little bit brighter. They start fading away a little bit.
So I'm thinking that the energy is being focused here at ground level, and it's taken away from the orb part.
Which they do that.
Okay,
they will manifest
off
of other orbs.
The energy is being focused more down here at the ground level now, so the orb's getting duller and dimmer.
Yes. I will have to agree with that. I mean, that's a good opinion and a good take on it.
I can't think of nothing else. I mean, it just nothing else makes sense.
I mean, how would we describe it, Hank? It's open for interpretation.
All my photos, when I paste them on Facebook, most of them are in the album for your inspection. You can agree or disagree. You can all 50 shades of gray.
You can agree to disagree, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, I wish I could get that picture to you guys of the red floating lady. Now, y'all would like that one.
Send it again to me, Roger, and then I will pass it along to everyone in my link.
Let's see how to go about that. It is in my
in the meantime.
That's not where it's going to be.
Yes, it will. Ain't you got some? Anyway.
Okay, I'm looking. I don't think it's in this. No, it's not in that one. Okay. I gotta remember which file, which thing it's on.
We can do that at a later time, Roger.
Anyway, having said all those things, I want to talk about some equipment because I'm old school. I'm used to using old school type things. I use my digital recorder, analog recorder, my Sony night shot cameras, and our DVR system at times. But I've never used an Ovilus. I've never used the one that we're going to talk about that you have. The EFP device that you have. And it really sounds interesting because it works along with the recorder, so it amplifies the recording, or is that not what you say? It amplifies the EVP?
How it works, okay? The EFP, EVP field processor. I find it extremely handy because even before, now it works in tandem with a stereo digital recorder or any digital recorder that has a monitoring capability. When you plug that in to your recorder, you can adjust the light bar level to a nominal level, and that way there, when you get a spike, you can automatically, first off, realize that, okay, I can identify this sound now. Just a quick tap on the table. It reacts. Or, if everything's quiet and you get a spike on that, then you have an EVP.
Cool.
It can take, with a normal recorder, it can take what sounds like a very light whisper and increase it by at least, what, Ed? At least 15, 20, 30 times?
Yeah, at least.
So 15 or 20 or 30 times above a whisper would be almost like the way we're talking now.
They almost come out that strong, yes.
Wow.
Now realize a spirit is having to draw energy, and they may be screaming at comparatively the top of their lungs, but we're only going to hear maybe just a little whisper like that. I don't know if you heard that or not, but that was
Well, for the normal ear, they would have a hard time hearing it unless you're like me.
Well, you're just a little different case there, Toby.
When I get one that's really low like that, I use Audio City, and I will amplify it just ever slightly, a little bit at a time, until I bring it up enough to make out what it's saying in most cases. But there's some cases even I can't bring it out enough to understand it even that way. And those are the ones that I usually post with, I don't know what it's saying, but I know it's saying something. If anybody has an idea, let me know.
All right, now I'm going to post a link for the EVP field processor, and everybody can go to that link and they can see the tool that I'm talking about. Those that you try to draw out on Audacity, I work with either WavePad or I work with ABS for You. Now, other people have different audio editors to work with, but I like working with ABS for You.
Now I have WaveLab.
WavePad or WaveLab?
WaveLab.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. Now, that's not saying, that's just saying I'm not familiar with it.
It's a really high tech one. It's
now one of my other members. Tim, as a matter of fact, his wife has some really bodacious audio equipment that she works with. I can't compete with that. But what I'm getting at is those whispers that you're getting just from your regular recordings. Like I said, it amplifies them. It's literally like taking the old, what are they called? Big ears? The parabolas.
Yeah, parabola dishes, mics and stuff.
It's like hearing with that. And, Mitzi, I bought mine at, I think $159. And now I'm seeing them at $189. And no, they don't necessarily work with white noise. Yes, more than $1, Mitzi.
Yep, afraid so.
One of the things that I use is I have it's a tractor battery, from a small yard tractor battery, 12-volt wet cell.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
And
Go
then
into that one. Yeah.
and then what I do is I made a light bulb with 2 clamps, the wire on it, and then 2 clamps. You got the base at one of the auto stores. And so I just clamped it on there so that stays on the whole time I'm on an investigation. And so it gives the spirits, if they need it, they've got it to use. And it kind of prevents them from sucking juice from my camera and my recorder. And anybody that's close to me, they don't have that problem of losing the juice from their batteries.
Oh, and Hank and I have experienced that firsthand together.
Yeah, I know you have. What are you talking about it? The battery just goes suck dead,
I mean, what's the odds of both people losing a camera on a simple, easy investigation at the same time?
Oh, maybe the spirits are trying to tell you something. No pictures of me or no recordings,
They use the energy
Yeah.
so that they can, how we can get the evidence.
Yeah.
Now, what if, and this is just, I'm going to throw this out there. It may sound a little bit crazy, but
Well, we know you, Roger, and we love you.
if, and we know spirits will drain your cameras and your recorders and everything else they get juice from. So what if you took a 12-volt car battery instead of, and where they could draw the energy from that, and that's a lot more energy you're going to get out of a camera battery.
Okay. Look at it from the standpoint of being practical of what you're going to carry with you.
Exactly, but I'm saying in a situation where, say, you were going into a haunted building, there was a certain area that you knew before you ever got there that was supposed to be active, and, whatever. You could plan ahead to where you could take this in there to that certain area and leave it there. Focus your cameras on it, and in that general area where something's supposed to be at or, manifest at. Would they not be able to use that much energy to produce a better image of themselves, so to speak?
Well, Roger, there is that possibility, but the tractor battery is what maybe 6 inches long and about 3 or 4 inches wide and about 5 inches deep. Will still give you that 12 volt, and you can carry that around with you, or you can use it stationary.
Well, now I would think, though, that a car battery would hold a lot more energy
No,
And-
no, no. 12 volt is 12 volt.
If you want to really draw something out, from what I've studied, from what I've learned, there are two things. And both are recognized by the wonderful man that history has forgotten. Nikolai
Tesla.
Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Jacob's ladder. Now it has these, what it does is these two rods that are sticking up, and the electricity is arcing as it's
Right.
going. That is one that will really feed the energy to spirits. Now, a drawback to that is a lot of times you don't necessarily get friendly. I mean, even Casper would turn into something you wouldn't want to meet. Okay?
Casper
Now-
with a hangover.
No, me in the morning without coffee. Okay? Now, the other thing that, now I'm trying not to drop names, the GAC boys. Okay? They had some friend that created I don't want to say a fear cage, but that's the only way to describe it. And it worked with a Tesla coil. Not to promote anything else, but this was also, the Tesla coil was, or a Tesla coil was also used during an episode of Ghost Mines.
Yeah.
Okay.
With very, well, actually in that particular case it was positive. They had activity. Now it was determined as to what kind of what kind of individual they had active, but the results were undeniable.
Didn't you post a link to how to make one of those Tesla coil things?
I posted a link of a few things. I don't know about that one in specific.
Seems like I remember you posted a link about that. It was on Google Plus, I believe.
Hey, Roger, before I forget, on that website that was sent to you, inside there on that first page or the opening page is my email address. And
Okay.
anybody who is, I don't know how it's posted on your site, but they're free to email me and ask me questions about how I use the rods, how to make rods if they want to do that. You know,
Okay, Ed, can you send me a Facebook invite?
Sure.
And when you do that, then you can come on my Half Past Dead page on Facebook there and post those links there if you want.
Okay, I'll get that from
Okay.
Hank,
And also on the ESP page, I'm sure Mitzi wouldn't mind.
okay, I'll get that from Hank also. So I just wanted to let you know about that before we got too close to the ending and
Right.
stuff, you know.
But yeah,
I'm
do that, and and you can post your links there. And if, Hank, anytime you want to post a picture or something on Half Past Dead, man, you feel free.
Well, don't forget. I mean, I share just like you share on Ghost Hunts and Pagans.
Right.
Monitor. I'm a monitor.
Well, now, I go back and forth on Google like that all the time.
I know.
And, but I don't do that so much really on Facebook. I guess I should, but I don't. Usually when I'm on Facebook, you know, I've got something else going on. I don't even think about it. But I'll go on Google, and when I post something on my page, I send it to everybody.
And if you want to communicate with me directly, you got the email there, and you can just shoot me a PM, and I can. and we can communicate directly, about the equipment I have and how I use it and stuff like that.
Hey, I think that's awesome. Once we get connected there and everything, I'll be hollering at you in the PM there like I do old Hanky Panky there.
Yeah, Hanky Panky's right. Or Panky Hanky.
Okay, no more references to Tommy James and the Shondells. That's really dating ourselves, okay?
Hey, I like Tommy James and the Shondells now. Yeah, I was around when they were here. But anyway, Echo Box. We haven't talked about this. Hank, have you ever even tried the Echo Box?
The closest I've come to a Echo Box is I have what's referred to as a Radio Shack hack.
Right.
It's a radio that we've had some interesting, although questionable, results. I have a friend in the Google communities. I can't remember his name right offhand. He is working with an Echo Box, and I can't see how it really works. I mean, a Spirit Box, an SP7, an Ovilus, I can see how they work.
Okay.
Yeah, even with the white noise. But his example of an Echo Box,
what it does is it, instead of using like the radio signals where you get all the, and all that, what it does is it uses short, like partial words. That's all it I forget what it is. It was designed for something else, but it works so good for that because and you can change the frequency of how fast or slow it goes, and you can add the echo in there to it. And usually when the echo is running, that's when, I heard the more realistic sounding answers to anything that I had used it for. But now I tried an experiment. Now, Echo Box is a phone app, right?
Pretty basic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I went on the Google store and I found a white noise app. And I downloaded that. And I ran the Echo Box and the white noise app together. And I ran it through a surround sound system. And we got some hellacious answers, pardon my French. But that's where we got the one that told us about the grave in the yard. We got several names: Mary, John, Daniel, I'm thinking. And he was the one that was, I guess, didn't want us delving into their business, so to speak.
Did you ever get Tom, Dick, and Harry?
No, nah. But now I did ask them if they saw Spot run. But no, really, when I added the white noise to the Echo Box thing, and I slowed the echo down, and I slowed the and if you don't, now Echo Box, if you turn the one setting on it up all the way, static will drive you nuts. You can't do it. But if you use an external speaker, you can. So we ran it through about a 6-foot cable to a surround sound system. And it was crystal clear.
That's unusual.
And you could hear, like when you asked the question and everything, you could actually hear like a name. If I would ask, I think I asked, how many was with us, and we got 7. I asked, what was it I said? I asked for a name, of course. I said, can any of you give me a name? And I got Mary. And then I got Daniel. And Daniel, he kind of hung around. And he didn't seem just overly friendly. Now, John, on the other hand, he didn't talk much, but he did tell us his name. And I asked, like, how long have you been here or something? And I got, like a long time. and that's one of the things about the area where we were at where my daughter lives. It's out in the sticks. And when we got the EVPs the last time we were out there, where I got the disembodied voice, and I did catch that on my recorder, so I verified that. But we were out in the field there. He's got a little shed out there. We were standing out there because he said he felt weird feelings out there when he was out there after dark. So we went out there playing around, and we wasn't really doing any good. So we was coming back to the house. But when we got to the gate to come back into the yard, that's when I had said, well, if y'all want to follow us up here, you can, but you can't stay. You got to go back. We got the one EVP right there by the gate that said, I belong here. And then we got the disembodied one that said, I ain't staying. Now this, and of course, yeah, this was later on, right? Like, after, we did the Echo Box thing. But I'm kind of more or less thinking that these are entities that are attached to the land out there, not anything to do with that house, because the house ain't that old.
That's more likely. It's something attached to the land, or a residence that may have been there before this house was built.
Right, exactly. And when the Echo Box session, when he was saying he'd been there a long time, I knew it couldn't be somebody that died in the house, because the house was built like in the 40s or 50s. And from what I was gathering, these spirits have been there a lot longer than that. So I'm pretty much thinking, we got a land attachment thing going on. And who knows what was there before that house, I mean, there could have been another house there. There could have been a community there or something.
Unless you have a archaeologist on your team like we have.
Smart
I don't know if she's listening or not. That's Gretchen.
Yeah.
Collier. She would be able to find out what the history of that was. But she's here in Washington, and we got her. I mean,
Deidre's asking, was there a stone in the ground there? I don't know. We didn't see one or anything really that, well, now the field area out there where the shed is, it's a big field there, and it's all grown up. It ain't been used for planting or anything like that. And if it ever was, it hadn't been in a long, long time. But I'm not really sure, because back behind that area back there is where the river runs through. A branch of the Obion River runs through.
A branch of what?
Now, the Obion River.
Oh.
And there's a road back there. It's a back road that goes behind all that property. And there's a bridge there, the river bridge there. Every time you cross that bridge, especially at night, once you get across that bridge and you get between that bridge and the next little bridge there's a whole lot of like a high EMF feeling. But there's not wires running through there, and there's not anything to produce any power. Now,
see, Roger, that's where the rods would come in handy. Let's say, like, you're talking about a big vacant piece of property that's old.
Exactly.
And, yeah, you can go with the rods, you can ask, is there anybody that is buried on this piece of property?
Well, now they
Uh,
did
and
tell us that there was a grave somewhere on the property. They didn't pinpoint it.
see, then you can go find the grave with the rods. So that is really the benefit of the rods.
Right.
And
I'm going to have
it's
to
like,
learn how to do that because I think that would give a whole lot of new aspect to, or, now I don't know, unless somebody is filming you while you're doing this so that you can see the rods crossing and everything, you really don't have validation for it.
yes,
Except
yes,
for
you do.
yourself.
Yes, you do. Okay, your validation is you ask the question, and if the rods cross, mostly it's yes and no questions, and you say the rods cross. And then if you don't cross, that means then you go to the next question. So when you get an answer, you always say yes, or you say the rods are crossing, or the
And that's
rods
Right.
cross.
that's to
What I'm saying though
emphasize
is
the
this.
recording.
So in other words, you have a recorded validation of the question that you ask.
But you only have your voice on there saying the rods crossed or the rods are crossing. Nobody's seeing it happen.
Well, you can have somebody videotape it. It's
That's
just a
what I was
matter.
saying. If somebody was videotaping you while you were doing it and they actually saw it happen, and it's on the film, then you got something to back it up.
Which
Well,
I have.
And it's basically what it really boils down to is your reputation. And if you got a good reputation, see, that's what it's all about, is your reputation.
Okay,
You're you're
is
having a
my mic
conversation.
doing right, y'all?
You're fading in and out sometimes, but you're a little bit better now.
Okay, I think I got a short in this headset.
See,
Okay, good
so
deal.
so most important is you worry about your validation. If somebody wants to believe it, fine. If they don't want to believe it, I don't argue with them. I don't even worry about even answering their email if I get one.
Once again, one of the other reasons that you don't go on an investigation by yourself,
Exactly.
okay? It's always either validation or in case you need to have someone get help.
Exactly.
You're getting the feedback, Roger.
Well, y'all are too.
We all went.
Yeah. But anyway, on my website, there's a lot of information there. But every time you use, I mean, from my experience, is that I learned something different. Like one night, Hank and I were out, and he tripped over the gopher mound, and the ends of my rod started doing crazy things, vibrating at the end. So that we're going back through, and we're listening to EVPs, and you hear Hank, stumble, and he says, "Damn it!" And then the spirit calls him clumsy, and then the spirit started laughing, and that was the end of my rods vibrating back and forth, crossing at the tips. So every time, not every time, but I learned something different. How my rods,
yes, every time we learn something new.
yeah, they talk to me, and by going back and listening to EVPs, then um, sometimes I get and sometimes not, but I get an answer from whoever it is that I am talking to, and they seem to enjoy it because we have fun. I have fun with the spirits, especially at the soldier cemetery. I mean, they're a crazy bunch down there, and they appreciate us, and we get all kinds of weird, crazy answers, and it's being there is a kick in the ass, fun, and they appreciate us, and you know We do this little thing at Christmas every year for them, and rain or shine or whatever, you know. And we could do it in the daytime. We can do it any time of the day or any time of the night. You know, at the Soldier Cemetery, you know. Sometimes I just drive through and just say hi, you know, and just maybe stop for a second or two, and I don't even put my rods out. I just go through, recognize them, and let them know that we're still alive, you know.
Well, I have this standing rule: nobody goes alone.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like Hank said, it's for different reasons. You know, I mean, if you got hurt, you know, especially if you were in a location where there wasn't anybody around.
Yeah.
You just lay there until, you know, either you died or you crawled to the nearest place, which might be miles away. And also, it gives you somebody there to validate whatever it is that you do get.
Yeah. Oh, I understand where you come from on that, you know. But, you know, I don't worry about, you know, validation, because I'm there to talk with them a little bit, you know, and say hi and hello, and you know, let them know that I'm thinking about them, and I don't even drag out my rods or my recorder or anything. I just pass through to, you know, it's like stopping by your neighbor or driving by your neighbor's house and waving at him and saying hi, hello, and you keep on going, you know. It's that. And they do have a few visitors that come down there and do you know, search for headstones and stuff like that, you know, for a relative or something, you know.
Now, see, I wish you guys could come down here, because there's a cemetery 2 towns over from me out in the boondocks. It's called Mosley Cemetery, and there used to be a house there. Well, they burnt the house down because some kid got hurt out there. Everybody was going out there to do their partying and stuff. But behind where that house was, there's a cemetery. It's got a wrought iron fence around it. But also, in the nearby wooded area, there's also a slave cemetery there.
Oh, interesting.
And nobody's been able to find it.
They got the rods.
They had markers there that were like sandstone maybe or something, you know, if there were any markers at all.
Yeah.
And people that had found it before, you know, had told me that, yeah, it's there, and it kind of give you a general area, but, you know, nobody's found it in the time that I've known about it. And the cemetery itself, you can Google Earth it, and you can actually see where it looks like the cemetery stones are. And it's like it's not real big, you know. It's kind of a small little cemetery, like a family cemetery plot there. Okay. There's actually 3 Mosley cemeteries down there. There's one in town. There's another one that's on the same road, Meridian Road, but then the last one, you have to turn on a different road, and you go about a quarter of a mile down there, and there's a roadway that goes back up in there. They've got it gated off where you can't get in there, but it's back
Roger, in there. Just a quickie. Go down to your local hardware store and get you about 30 inches of 12-2 house wire, and strip out 2 of the copper wires out of it.
Okay, what size is it?
It's just 12-2 house wire.
12-2, okay.
Yeah, and cut it out, and just take the wire out of it, you know, get 2 of them. And then for the handle, you want the handle about 4 or 5 inches long, so the end of it's below, and then the rest of it, and then the long part is about 15 inches long.
Okay. All right, hold on. Vita, you've asked a pretty interesting question there. Do you feel smaller cemeteries are more apt to give you EVPs or other phenomena than the larger visited cemeteries? Toby, I'll let you weigh in on that first.
I would have to say more towards the larger, just on personal experience. The smaller is more intimate. I've also found that the smaller ones, for me and what I've experienced through my journeys, is you get more personal with them. The largers are tend to be more noisier, more busier. You don't really get a good concentration on exactly what's going on.
Okay, I'm gonna iterate here. There's the Hank. You remember me telling you about the No Name Cemetery, and that's where we got the red dress and all that.
Yes.
Okay, about 4 miles on up past that is the actual supposed haunted cemetery called Workman Cemetery. And I've been there a few times. Got a couple of EVPs the first time I went. After that, I don't think I got anything else from that place. And it's a lot bigger cemetery, and it's supposed to be reputed to be haunted and all that. The No Name Cemetery, I've got a lot of stuff from there. And okay, and so I guess it just really depends on what they want to do. More than the size of the place you're in. I mean, that's the way I look at it. But
is your attitude when you go into cemeteries? Be humble and quiet and listen and want to be friends or whatever,
Okay, well, we're going to have to get ready to wind this thing down, folks. Hank, you guys post your links, whatever you want to do. I thought this was a very interesting show. I really appreciate all you guys' information. And Ed, you are quite a the word I'm looking for here with the whole rod thing and everything. I've never tried it, and I've seen other people, mess with them and everything, but I don't think they knew what the heck they were doing either. But you make it sound really interesting, and I'm going to get some of that, and I'm going to make me a set of those things because I want to, that's validation to me, whether it is to anybody else, that you may not get otherwise.
Well, if you go on my website there, I think it's on that front page. It's been a while since I've been in it. It talks about my rods, and then there's other things that's in my site also that I think you'll enjoy. And so when you get your rod set up, shoot me an email, and then maybe we can hook up on the phone and proceed from there.
Awesome. I think that's wonderful. Guys, we're gonna shut this thing down. We're live on WCJV Digital Broadcasting out of Youngstown, New York. I appreciate Hank and the crew coming in, and thank everybody for listening in. We'll see y'all next Monday.
And as always, if you can't be normal,
be
like
paranormal.
Be paranormal.
You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York.